We now have 7 years of content in this game. 7 years of characters, 7 years of releases, 7 years of updates. Quite a while for a mobile gacha game like Dragon Ball Legends to be around for. If this game were a human, it would be in like first or second grade. That's kind of insane to think about. But with this part 3 of the 7th anniversary, I do think it's an appropriate time, at least for me, to make a list talking about what have been some of my favorite character releases of all time. So we're going to go ahead and do that in this video today. I'm going to do a top 5, my top 5 favorite releases of all time list. We'll start with number 5, which will be, you know, not as hype as 4, 3, 2, or 1, but still my top 5 of all time. We have some interesting developments in the game too, right? Early back in the day, Legends Limiteds didn't exist. Ultra characters didn't exist. Then they slowly started introducing different characters, different types of characters. Legends Limiteds, Ultras. We got some really cool free characters back in the day with the Ultra free characters, right? So there's a lot of stuff we could potentially talk about here, but I'm also curious to know what are some of your guys' favorite character releases since the game came out. And we'll go through the list here, but before we jump in to number 5, we have a quick word from this video's sponsor. Crystal of Atlan, a brand new game, is a cross-platform magicpunk MMO action RPG. Players can immerse themselves as members of Thornbird Adventures Guild and uncover the secrets of the Crystal of Atlan with the team. You can choose from 12 classes and characters freely, and the best part, as many of you would agree with, there is no character gacha. Each class has its own unique skills and builds for players to customize. Something that's really cool is Crystal of Atlan currently has an ongoing collaboration with One Punch Man that's running through July 26th. If you join the game now, you can earn tons of collab rewards for free, such as a Saitama transformation badge, a collab avatar frame, a collab avatar, collab emojis, and much, much more. There's also a new Boros raid boss who can be challenged either solo or with a party of 4 players. In addition, there's also a new pet featured in the One Punch Man collab, Terrible Tornado, one of the most powerful heroes of the Hero Association who will help you journey in Atlan. Lastly, Crystal of Atlan has recently introduced a new class to the game, the Mistrix. The Mistrix is a branch class of the Musketeer who can transform her weapon case into a motorcycle and knock enemies into the air. She's an enigmatic woman from Rhine Advanced Military Academy's Espionage Division. Download Crystal of Atlan now, available on iOS, Google Play, PC, and PlayStation 5 via the link in the description box below, and embark on your magicpunk adventure and combo with One Punch Man heroes. I'll see you guys there. Alright, so coming in at number 5 on my favorite releases of all time, we have Legends Limited Full Power Frieza. This was a very hype moment for me. I remember when this guy was first announced. This was a character that was released right after the 3rd anniversary. So this was back in 2021. Yeah, this was back in 2021 for the 3rd anniversary. I believe this guy came out, I think it was August 2021, I think. It was either August or July. I can't exactly, it might have been July, because I think it actually went this Frieza, then Evolution Blue Vegeta, I believe is what happened. I have to go back and double check, but it's been a while. But I remember they did the reveal for this character, and at that point in time, Revival Gohan, the Red Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, and Future Gohan was like the team to beat. It was the hybrid, it was the year of hybrid. 2021 was essentially just the year of hybrids that did not change whatsoever. The thing about this Frieza is this guy actually had a pretty solid spot in the meta when he dropped, because number 1, he had permanent endurance nullification, which means he could rush against Future Gohan and kill Future Gohan, or he could just simply kill him with an ultimate or a blue card. And then number 2, he did massive damage to Revival Gohan. Remember that Gohan was purple. And this Frieza, what I like the most about this character is his AoE blue card. This card right here, obviously he's Zenkai'd now, but I'm actually going to get his... I'm recording this video technically before the Part 3 characters drop, so we are about to also get this character's unique equipment, so we get to experience the terror of Full Power Frieza once again here. But this blue card really, I think, fed into what made this character really devastating for that team, is if you were able to land a blue card on that Revival Gohan, because of its type advantage, it would essentially just decimate the entire enemy team. So this Frieza, I think, really was a very, very important character back then, because he really set the stage for like a break through the crack in the armor of the Hybrid Saiyan team, which essentially again dominated the game for like almost the whole year. But his animations are very good. I really still like a lot this character's legendary finish animation. They really strung together a lot of the really, really hype and cool moments from the Goku vs. Frieza fight in this Frieza's legendary finish. It's not just... so obviously this ends with, you will be killed by me. That's the English translation of this one. Of course, it ends with that, but there's a lot that goes into the animation before he does that, right? He does the flurry of combos right before, right after he transforms into full power. He does the Nova Strike in the animation. He does like the pushback key wave attack against Goku. So there's a lot that went into this legendary finish animation, and I feel like they did a really good job overall with the character aesthetically and also in terms of his functionality in the game. So Legends Limited Full Power Frieza is coming in at number 5 on my favorite characters releases of all time list. Let's move on to number 4. So coming in at number 4, I actually have Ultra Hit. This one might be a little bit surprising to a lot of players, but this character still, in my opinion, has the most unique ability in the entire game, which is his time skip mechanic. I think when you take a look at this character, and even when we talk about the character from the series, from Super, Dragon Ball Super, this is one of my favorite characters introduced in Dragon Ball Super. Of course, we have a lot of the old characters coming back, Goku, Vegeta, all the Z Fighters, but a lot of new characters were introduced in Super. I think Beerus is, on a technicality, you can say he's a Z character because Battle of Gods technically is a Z movie, but in the Super anime, he is introduced for the first time, of course, because they retell Battle of Gods. I really like Beerus. I think Beerus is one of my favorite characters newly introduced in Dragon Ball Super. I think Goku Black is a great villain, Zamasu is a great villain, but I think literally my favorite character introduced in Super probably is Hit. And the main reason why is just because I really like the idea of the time skip. You can point to things like Dio from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Of course, there's other characters in fiction that have like a similar ability to hit with a time skip, but I think the concept of a time skip really does fit well with Dragon Ball. Because a lot of times Dragon Ball, the fights in the series are more often than not just determined by power, who's stronger, right? That's really it. So when it came to the Hit fight, Hit versus Goku in the anime, not so much we don't talk about the Hit versus Goku fight in the manga, but for the Hit versus Goku fight in the anime, it really did feel like, okay, we can step back from the entire power versus power thing, which has kind of been the main staple of Dragon Ball for a long time, and now it's more about strategy. Right, of course, they kind of threw that away in the Throne of Power, Jiren kind of just being too strong to get time skipped, which makes no sense. But Goku kind of having to predict like where the time skip was going to be and how Hit was going to act in the time skip to figure out where the hit was going to come into play. I felt like that was one of my favorite parts of Super, and my personal favorite fight of Super is the Universe 6 vs 7 tournament Hit vs Goku fight. I really liked it a lot. Of course, the Blue Kaioken transformation, he kind of was able to just like get past the time skip. It's kind of just going back to the whole Dragon Ball thing of power, but the way that they captured the time skip in this game, I felt was almost flawless. Of course, this, you can make the argument it's not very fair, it's kind of cheap, whatever, but the way that they were able to capture that, like, sort of not really a Super Dragon Ball-esque ability in this game. I mean, they've not really captured that with a lot of other abilities in Dragon Ball here, and it's really, really well done. I just really like the way that they designed this character, and this to me really opens the door and has opened the door for a lot of other unique mechanics. We've had like the active gauge with Beast Gohan, the special beam cannon, even like Frieza's death beam with the active gauge kind of plays on their prototype with what they did with the time skip for this character. So there is definitely a lot of really, really cool stuff they could do moving forward with innovation in this game. And this guy really set the standard, set the bar for that really early on. A few years ago when he dropped. This guy came out in 2023, so this was before the 5th anniversary. So yeah, I mean, this guy got a platinum equipment recently, now back into the meta. He's a force to be reckoned with. I really think Ultra Hit is one of the most well-done characters they've ever they've ever released in this game, just because the time skip is just such a cool concept and they've executed almost perfectly in this game. So I have Ultra Hit at number 4. Let's move on to number 3. Coming in at number 3 is going to be Transforming Demon King Piccolo. If you guys watched my videos way back in the day, this was also a 2021 release similar to LF Full Power Frieza, but this guy was even earlier because Full Power Frieza was post 3rd anniversary. This character released, I think it was in March of 2021, so this guy came out before the 3rd anniversary. So this is a very, very old character. But even back then, right, when you compare the animations of characters back then to the animations of characters now, I mean, there's no comparison. It's just, there is, like, people laugh at this idea, but there is actually, like, a power creep with animations, right? Modern characters are just going to have better looking animations on average than characters back in the day. It's just the way that the game works. It's just, that's, expectations go up and technology improves and things like that. But this character back in the day had some of the best animations in the entire game. Demon King Piccolo is my second favorite villain in Dragon Ball, of course, right behind Frieza. And I really do think they captured the essence of this character almost perfectly with this character because of the way that they designed him, right? So this character starts as old Demon King Piccolo, and then once you have, I believe it's the Dragon Balls, man, it's been so long since I've used this character, transform into youthful form, 100 ki, 35% health, and he gets a full hand of cards. This was unheard of. Again, I will just reiterate, this is a pre-3rd anniversary character. So let's see. Until one of the following conditions is met, your main ability will be sealed from the battle start. You either need 5 Dragon Balls or 30 counts have elapsed. So this character really kind of had one of the more annoying transformation conditions, but it wasn't annoying in the sense that it hindered the character because, number one, it made sense, and number two, you have a massive payoff for getting the condition to actually transform. And then once he transformed into young Demon King Piccolo, this guy was absolutely insane. This was also kind of the early stages of the Powerful Opponent team. So this guy on Powerful Opponent actually was like a super heavy carry character. You had prime regen back in the day. You had characters like Green Fat Boo. You had characters like the Zenkai Yellow Demon King Piccolo, who were just really, really good regen characters. Purple 21. So overall, this character, I think on regen and Powerful Opponent back in the day kind of really helped propel the villain teams, the villain-centric teams, because back then, the only like real villain-centric teams were LOE, Powerful Opponent, and Regen. Like, Regen was a completely villain-centric team then, and it honestly kind of still is right now, except it doesn't really see a lot of use anymore. But this character just had some of the best-looking animations. The transformation animation of him becoming young again, summoning, like him, Demon King Piccolo killing Shenron is probably my second favorite scene in all of Dragon Ball. All of Dragon Ball. And I just think the way that they capture this character aesthetically, and also just via what he's doing, what he's bringing to the table with his mechanics, with his kit, it was some of the most fun I've had in this game. And for those of you who played the game back in the day, you remember how much fun I had with this character. So this guy's going to be number 3. Let's move on to number 2. Number 2 is going to be Legends Limited First Form Frieza. This character has been my YouTube profile picture pretty much since he released. I mean, it's been this character for 5.5 years, because this guy came out in March of 2020, prior to the 2nd anniversary. So this guy released. Before we get into why I actually think he's number 1 or number 2, I mean, you could probably slide this guy into number 1 just because of how iconic this character is for me as a creator on YouTube at this point. But this guy really propelled LOE up to number 1 or number 2 in the game really back early in the day. So we had this character. We had the original Full Power Frieza, the one that dropped next to the blue LF Namek Goku right after the 1st anniversary. And then shortly after this character dropped, they gave us Zenkai Final Form Cooler. So you ran those 3 together as a trio. This guy, Full Power Frieza, and Zenkai Final Form Cooler. That was probably the best team in the game back when, you know, that was what was happening in the game. Because you had that team, you had GT was good, you had Regen, which was really good as well. But really, prior to the second anniversary, I really do feel like LOE was probably just a little bit better than those teams, which is kind of insane to think about. You remember, if you guys were playing back in the day, people got traumatized by the regen team back then. Like, you had Red Zamasu, Super Baby 2, and Green Zenkai Fappu. Essentially, you were going to timer in that match. If you were fighting that team, you were going to timer. But LOE actually kind of had the firepower to kind of punch through that team. And I think LOE really did have a good matchup versus that regen team because, yeah, regen could outlast you, but it ain't doing more damage. It ain't doing more damage than this team, and so you just won off of timer if you couldn't kill them with the LOE. So LOE was just really, really good back in the day. The fact that this character held a blue card, you were able to just kind of spam blues with the LOE team back then. It was just so much fun. You just kind of like chucked supernovas and death beams and the death saucers with final form Frieza, with full power Frieza. So overall, just a really fun experience using this character. He does have an ability to actually combo off of the cover change with his green card. You can cover change, if you get the cover change off of this character with a green card in your hand, you could immobilize the opponent with the telekinesis. Really strong. This is still to this day there's only two characters in the game that can do that, I believe. It's this character and Ultra Super Vegito can combo off of cover changing with his long range green. But this character really has a special place for me just because first form Frieza is my favorite form of Frieza. Of course, I like all the forms of Namek Frieza. I like second form Frieza, I think, is criminally underrepresented in the game. Third form Frieza is underrepresented in the game as well, but second form Frieza to me is a bit more iconic than third form Frieza. Second form Frieza has the Krillin Impale attack, which isn't even in the game at all. Second form Frieza has more of a scuffle with Piccolo. So second form Frieza has way more screen time and attacks that he does in the series than third form Frieza does. So I'm actually looking forward to seeing if they can maybe give us like a 1% sparking second form Frieza. I would definitely take that. Final form Frieza, of course, the most iconic version of Frieza, and then full power. I like them all. I do. Full power and final form I really like a lot, but I have to give the slight edge to first form Frieza for me. Main reason why is because when I first got into Dragon Ball, this was in the 90s. I think it was probably late 90s. I remember the first episode of Dragon Ball that I ever watched was when first form Frieza faced off against Nail. First form Frieza versus Nail. And I just remember, like, I didn't really know much about the show. This was my first time seeing it. Eventually, I had to go back and rewatch OG Dragon Ball, rewatch through the Saiyan saga to understand what was happening. But the Frieza saga, the Namek saga, was my first real exposure to the series, and that's why I have such a big affinity for the Namek saga. It really was the saga that got me started on the series. And I just remember Frieza literally, he opened up a portion of his neck for Nail to chop him, just to show off how big the power difference was between them. And I thought that was, to me, that was the coolest thing of all time. So that actually, believe it or not, is my favorite scene in all of Dragon Ball, right in front of when Demon King Piccolo kills Shenron, when Frieza deliberately like gives Nail the opportunity to chop him in the neck just so that he can rip his arm off. That was just the most brutal display of, like, you know what that is? It's essentially just enhanced trash talk. It's just like enhanced taunting, enhanced like, I don't know. That scene for me has a special place in my heart, just because that really is my introduction to the series overall. And from there, of course, we have the iconic duel on Namek. But this first form Frieza, I think, really has probably the fondest place in my heart in this game, right? I mean, we have a different placement coming up here for number 1, but it's really hard to beat this character, and no matter what they do moving forward, they could do the most incredible thing ever moving forward, and it's just going to be tough. It's going to be really tough to top this character for me. So I have Legends Limited First Form Frieza coming in at number 2. Let's move on to the number 1 spot. All right, so coming in at number 1 is going to be part 3 of the 7th anniversary Ultra Namek Goku and Ultra Full Power Frieza. Now, this is before the characters are even, their data is even in the game, so I can't even pull up their data in the game. That's why I had to go to the actual reveal to show you guys this. So this is before we can use them, before we can experience how fun they are to use. So obviously this, you know, is a bit biased. This is coming with some recency bias too, but guess what? I don't care. I do not care. This is, if you asked me to create my personal ideal part 3 to this anniversary, this would be what I would do. Exactly this is what I would do. And to me, I'm putting this at number 1 more so than everything else we've talked about so far, just because of the way that they revealed these characters. When you look at everything, the way it was presented to us, it was almost like I literally have almost no gripes with anything that happened. Kageyama, the most iconic singer from Dragon Ball, right? We have other great singers too. We have Asaoka, who did Dan for GT. We have the singers for Super. We have Daiichi Miura, who did Blizzard for the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie. We have the superhero OSTs. We have the Tournament of Power Universe Survival Saga themes. We have the OG Dragon Ball theme, Makafushigi Adventure. Right? We have a lot of great artists who have done music for Dragon Ball since the 80s. But the most iconic musician for Dragon Ball, hands down, I mean, everybody would agree with this, is Kageyama. Basically did every single theme from Z, every single theme from the Z movies. He is known as literally his nickname is Mr. Dragon Ball. Mr. Dragon Ball Z. Mr. DBZ, essentially, is his nickname, right? To have him singing Chala Head Chala, which is the most iconic song from Dragon Ball, the entire series, in front of the double Ultra Namek Goku and Full Power Frieza. I mean, that is... I personally, I don't see how this will ever be topped, at least for me, ever. The way they revealed this. They have the ink art too. Something that I think is pretty underrated, actually, so far from what I've seen. I can't believe no one is talking about the fact that they actually had the original narrator from Dragon Ball Z in the ink arts for both of these characters. So they had the for the dub version, I believe I forgot the name of the narrator in the dub version, and I actually don't remember the one in the sub version either. But for the dub narrator, it was the same person who did the voice for, I believe it was Captain Ginyu, was the same person who played the part of the narrator. And I am somebody who plays the game in sub, because that's the way that I mostly consume Dragon Ball, is via sub. But back in the 90s, I watched the show dubbed, right? Like 99% of people watching this video, I watched the show dubbed. And so I actually had a bigger emotional response to the dub of the ink arts to these characters, because I more associate with the narrator in dub. So to me, that was a really cool thing. And also in sub as well, they had the narrator in sub. And I believe both the dub and the sub narrators have passed away, because the sub narrator is the same one who voiced King Kai. So I just really like that they found a way to get those voices into the ink arts. The animations on these characters, the models on these characters, the map of Namek, dying Namek as a map, like everything just looks essentially flawless. The only criticism I would have with these characters is that there is no unique clash animation like the part 2 characters, like Saiyan Saga Goku and Vegeta have the unique clash animation. I really would have liked that, but granted, everything else that these characters are bringing to the table, I really can't hate too much on that. But I mean, I'm just looking forward to using these characters. It's just going to be so much fun. And Frieza, it's not just Frieza, right? It's not just me saying I'm a Frieza fan. This is why Frieza's here. That's why this is my favorite reveal and release ever. It's Goku too. This is my favorite version of Goku. Namek Super Saiyan Goku. Cooler movie Goku, Super Saiyan Goku. When Goku has like the buff Super Saiyan form, the early version of Super Saiyan, that is my personal favorite version of Goku. So it's not just because Frieza is here, it's because this is the representation, at least in my opinion, of Dragon Ball and what I grew up with Dragon Ball Z. Goku versus Frieza, fight to the death, the battle of destiny on a dying planet. This is unable to be topped. I don't really see how we can move from here into another release that would personally have me more excited, more hyped than this, which kind of is sad in a way, but I mean, this is my ideal part 3. I mean, it is. So I'm going to have the 7th anniversary part 3 characters, Ultra Namek, Super Saiyan Goku, and Ultra Full Power Frieza at number 1 on my top 5 favorite releases of all time. So just to quickly recap the list here, number 5, we had Legends Limited Full Power Frieza. Number 4, we had Ultra Hit. Number 3 was Transforming Purple Demon King Piccolo. Number 2 was Legends Limited First Form Frieza. And then number 1, 7th Anniversary Part 3, Ultra Namek Super Saiyan Goku, and Ultra Full Power Frieza. I am interested in hearing what you guys have as your top 5 favorite releases of all time. Let me know down below. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one.